express my thoughts on resin models and resin kits. Now, I recently did the build for the USS Titan. That was from Star Trek Picard, and it was the Titan A. And she made her debut in Star Trek in season 3, I believe it was season 3 of Star Trek Picard. And at the time, I just fell in love with the ship. I think the ship itself is absolutely gorgeous. And there was no way you could buy it. Round 2 didn't have anything offered. There was no model kits of the ship available. Not even something like Diamond Select. And since Eagle Moss had gone out of business, then it's not something that we could have looked at from Eagle Moss to offer at one time. So what's the next option? The only thing available, we start to look at those garage kind of resin kits. Some of the resin, don't get me wrong, some of the resin parts, like, let's say, okay, for like the 1-200 trumpeter RMS Titanic, there are some parts of the model kit that didn't have as much detail, and the resin actually, it was a lot more detailed. Right down to some of the pieces where they actually get down to little figures of the people in 1/200 scale that will go on a deck. Okay, that's good. When it comes to the ship itself, the Titan, I had found the website and Corner Shipyards. First thing I noticed was that it was extremely expensive. It was very expensive, but it was the Titan. The way I was kind of lulled to sleep, if you will, a little bit, because looking at the model that was offered, the parts, it looked so good. It looked almost like it was molded in plastic. So I was like, well, it is expensive, but it is the Titan, and I can't get the Titan anywhere. So looking over the website, offering it in resin, high printing, the resolution, the high resolution printer, and yada 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 about how, you know, it's state of the art and it's wonderful and everything. So I'm like, okay, it's expensive, but I want the Titan. So I figured if I get the Titan, I might as well get the Aztecing decals too, right? So I got the Aztecing decals, and the total was $204 for the model plus the Aztecing decals. Okay, so we get the model in. At first, it was wonderful. If anything, I was awed because the primary hull was so thick. And it seemed like it was really clean. There was no flash or anything like that. It didn't need to be sanded down. And keep in mind that I was totally new to resin. I had no idea. Never worked with resin before. And, well, I'm never going to get resin again. Never get another kit. Absolutely not. And I'll tell you why in a minute. So we get the model in, and I do the build. And for the most part, I was able to build it like she appeared on screen. And I put the lights in, and it was really nice. I thought she came out beautiful because it's a beautiful ship. So as expensive as it was, there wasn't even a stand for it. So I'm like, okay. So I used the one of the extra stands that I had from Polar Lights. It's a the dome, the half dome with the metal rod, and I used that. The hole was a little smaller at the top, so I had to drill to make it a little bit bigger for it to fit in. But the resin was brittle, and I didn't want to, go too far in. I didn't want to risk breaking it. So when it finally was said and done, I had the ship mounted onto the base, the stand, the metal rod. And the only thing I had said about the resin actually losing its shape was that they suggested putting brass into the nacelle pylons to keep it from sagging. So I ended up using the coat hangers. The wire coat hanger was very sturdy, so I put them in both nacelles, and I figured, oh, this is going to be great. This is awesome. What I didn't expect was for the model to start drooping and sagging. I don't know if you'll be able to see it behind me, but I'll show it to you guys. It's on the shelf, and I don't know if you can see the nacelles. Well, I'll get into that. I had noticed the other day that, well, I put it on the shelf with my models, finished models. It's not hot in here. There's air conditioning running throughout the house, so that's not an issue. I can understand if it was really hot in here, how the the resin would start to droop and sag. But I noticed that where I put the supports for the nacelles, it may not be drooping sideways, but what's happening with one of the nacelles is starting to twist and warp and sag. And now one of the, it's the port nacelle, it's totally out of position. And I'm going to show you right now the whole situation. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so it's been about, well, give or take 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks since I completed the build for the Titan. And everything went pretty well. I built the model specific to the instructions that were given on the website, right down to putting in the supports into the nacelle pylons. What ended up happening was there is droopage, but because I put the support in, now the nacelle is actually twisting away from the ship. You can see it is just way out of whack now. And you really notice it when you look at the side view. I mean, look at that. You can see the, it looks like a hump in the middle, where the front and the back ends of the ship are just drooping down. And it just looks horrible. And at $204 for the order, shouldn't you be able to display the model without it drooping like this? What's the point of getting a model if you can't display it? Now again, this is plastic, and this is like a wonderful, I'm not comparing it to this, but I am comparing it to like plastic. So the whole purpose of the resin is because it's easy, it can be printed, and it can be customized into any shape you want. But the problem is, what's the use in having it if you can't display it and it's going to just do this? Like I said, I followed all the instructions to a T, and it's still doing this. And it actually, for as expensive as it was, there was no stand that came with it. I had to use the Polar Lights stand for the wires to run down into the base. And now, if I wouldn't have the support here, the jaws support, I'm sure that the saucer section would just eventually droop down to, I don't know, it's almost like this model is melting. Let me put the lights on and we'll see if there's... So, it looks like all the seams that I glued are holding. That doesn't seem to be the area of problem, but it's just the resin itself is warping. And again, in my opinion, it was absolutely beautiful when I finished the kit. And I had planned to display her proudly right next to the Enterprise. And one of the problems I'm having now is, if it looks like this 3 weeks after, what's it going to look like in a little while longer? And this room is temperature controlled. It's not hot in here. There's an air conditioner that cools the room in the winter, and cools the room in the winter, in the summer, and it's heated in the winter. So the climate control in this room is pretty stable. So it can't attribute the deformation to melting from the heat. It's just the resin itself is an inferior material to make a model out of. Now, I have seen videos where they use resin and they print out a 3D resin model, and then they encase it in liquid resin. You know, like the sunken ships. I've seen and I don't remember the man's name, but he does a fantastic job. He like he'll put the version on the surface of the water when she was in service, and then he'll put on the bottom, he'll put the wreck site, and he just does a great job. Well, he does a lot of the 3D printing with the resin, and if you're going to encase it in the resin like the way he does, then you don't have to worry about it being misshapen over time. But something like this, it's horrible looking. And if anyone out there knows how I can fix this, or try to, I don't know, is the resin not cured? Like I said, when I had got it in the mail, it was a little sticky, and it said to put the parts into the sun to let the UV light kind of cure it. So I had put the parts out, geez, I gave them sun for 2 days, and I was hoping that would take care of it. But the problem I'm having is not so much the pieces. Like I said, everything went together. There was some issues, but I got the parts together, and because it was able to be lit, that's what sold me on this model. And when it comes to a model, hence being able to display it, in my opinion, especially on the stand. Well, I've shown you this model. This is the first 1350 Enterprise that I built. And then we have the jet. I had done this. This was a gift from my son, and he knows I like vintage model kits, so I had made this. And we had done the Reliant, and again, this is plastic, and the plastic holds up so much better. And I guess I had to learn the hard way, because I had never gotten a resin kit before. I've heard about them, I knew they were around, and we've got different resin parts that we use on the Enterprise 135 scale, but again, that's just like a part. It's the chiller grill. And I've also got resin parts to put on the 1200 Trumpeter Titanic. But again, those are just parts where they're going to be stationary, and you don't have to worry about them warping or anything. But with this model, again, it makes me sad because it was so expensive. And basically, it's junk. I don't know what to do with it. And again, I'm not bashing Horner shipyards. I'm just calling into question resin as a whole. And I'll never buy another resin kit. Never. Maybe if the parts are really good on the model I'm working on, maybe at one point I'll get another resin kit, resin part, like we're doing with the Enterprise in 1537 scale. But as far as doing it like this, I'm never going to do that again. I'll take the plastic any day. So that was my experience, and again, I'm not bashing anybody. You may have had a great experience with resin kits. I just haven't. And that, my friends, is why I'm never going to buy another resin kit. Maybe if it's different parts that are made out of resin, because right now I'm doing my special 3,000 subscriber build, and it's the 135 scale USS Enterprise, and that's from Star Trek The Motion Picture. This is the 1979 release from AMT. I got some extra parts, and the chiller grills that I got were the one was violet, the inner chiller grill, and it was made of resin. And what I noticed, even with working with that, you can bend it. It's pliable. And that's something I don't like. I like the sturdiness of the plastic. For what we're using it for, the chiller grill, because it's going in to a plastic piece. We hollowed out the nacelle, and I was able to put the chiller grills on either side, on the inside and on the outside. And then I securely glued them with some CA glue, and then I put some putty for light blocking on the inside. So that's going into something sturdy, so that's good. I have no issues with that. But when it comes to the model kit, I mean, why would you sell it and market it as a model if you can't even display it? I just don't get that. And if you're going to have to keep it in a box or keep it upside down up against pieces where the nacelles don't warp or move, then why are you even selling it as a model? You want to display a model, and that's my opinion. Again, everyone's got their own opinion. Some people may have excellent experiences with the resin kits. One thing I did notice though about the resin kits was the other ones that I looked into, they were a lot smaller, and well, they were unlightable. Matter of fact, that's what drew me to the Titan, is because I was able to light it up. But with a lot of the other resin kits, they're solid and there's just no way to light them. So I'm thinking maybe that's why, because of the pliability of the material. But personally, again, there are people out there, and I'm not judging anything. I'm just going by the experience that I had. And that being said, I'll never buy another resin kit again. Again, it might be different for like an aftermarket part, like a small part to go into something made of plastic, like I'm doing with the 537 Enterprise. But as far as buying a resin kit, I don't see the attraction. They're not durable, they're not sturdy. A lot of the times you can't light them, and yeah, I don't mean to be negative in this video, because I usually, all the stuff I talk about, I got a passion for, so I love, but I don't like the resin. And I won't be buying another resin kit ever again. And again, that's just my opinion. You guys don't just take my word for it, find out for yourself, or maybe you've had some really good, some good experiences with the resin kits as a whole, but I didn't. But I just wanted to share that update with you guys and show you as of right now what the model looked like, and it's pretty rough, and for $205 it probably should have lasted a little longer, and I should be able to display it. But again, that's just my opinion, and as usual, my friends, thank you so much for watching, and until the next video, take care, and I'll talk to you soon.